The Amazon rainforest. A tangle of green full of stories about dangerous creatures and disappearances. What is the most dangerous thing in this jungle? And how do you survive its grasp? Hello? Look, you've explained why many of the things in the Amazon I'm afraid of are not actually dangerous, but something in the rainforest has to be. It's not like these tropes are just the result of centuries of white explorers over-exaggerating things to entertain the masses in Europe, and that has led to a glorification of colonialization and people just buying whatever anyone ever says about the tropics. No, I think that's exactly what's been going on. But you're right, the Amazon rainforest is kind of dangerous, but it's not because of caiman or jaguars or anacondas or piranha. It's the forest itself. Okay, so I wanted to start this off by bringing up Disney's 2021 Jungle Cruise movie because, well, one of the ads I saw for the movie had this line said by The Rock that really bothered me. Everything you see wants to kill you, and can. This often feels how the rainforest, especially the Amazon, is depicted in media. Whether it is vampire bats, deadly stinging insects, large reptilian predators, or other man-eaters like jaguar, giant otters, or piranha. But what I was surprised by when actually watching the movie, and by the way I'm going to talk about minor plot elements, so if you care what happens in a movie based on a theme park ride, then skip ahead. Anyway, what I found interesting is that animals are not shown as a danger to the characters. The trope is even subverted a few times. I mean, with the exception of some piranha and the animals that are shown to be parts of the cursed conquistadors, which I just want to say, that means I can now make another Amazon Trail reference because the leader of the cursed conquistadors is Lope de Aguirre.
I am Lope de Aguirre, the wrath of God, the Prince of Freedom, Lord of all that has been discovered and all that remains to be discovered.
Though, making the motivations of a man who murdered his own daughter to save his daughter seems rather revisionist. Glad you get to poison him with a rainforest plant and learn a valuable moral.
Oh! What's happening? Is this some kind of trick?
I don't know about you, but I don't want to be here when he recovers.
There are evil people in this world. You did what had to be done.
Anyway, back to the Jungle Cruise movie. What I didn't expect was the thing shown to be actually dangerous besides some random piranha is human in origin, with some of that being part of a curse enforced by the forest, which feeds quite well into this video. Also, I know for a fact it was filmed in Hawaii, because I saw the production from a distance back in 2018. And so as a joke filmed all of the sequences where I am reacting to terrible parody videos I made in a jungle in Hawaii. Probably not funny to anyone else, but it made me chuckle. Anyway, let's go back to the actual Amazon rainforest and talk about how getting lost in the forest is far more dangerous than any predator. The rainforest is not particularly hospitable to human life, and so getting lost out here can be deadly, particularly from hypothermia and dehydration. After the sun sets in the forest, temperatures can drop and even become quite chilly, especially if you throw a downpour into the mix. Night in the Amazon rainforest. It's very quiet, unnaturally quiet because it's friahe, which means it's very cold. So there aren't insects chirping, which I think makes it more ominous. And there could be a jaguar. There's almost certainly a jaguar that can hear me talking right now. Or a puma. And that's really quite a strange feeling. But here we are, just wandering around in the dark. It's quite intense. It's a full moon. It's just a creepy night. While there are plenty of water sources in the forest, they can be tricky to get at, and humidity often conceals the feeling of dehydration. The forest is also incredibly easy to become lost in. The Amazon is thick with vegetation. Visibility is very limited even in open tierra firme old-growth forest. Beyond this, the Amazon is actually a rather dynamic landscape with ravines and cliffs, all hidden under the canopy. You could slip and injure yourself quite easily. Then comes the fact that the Amazon rainforest is a vast wilderness you could simply walk into and disappear forever. No trace, no body, nothing remaining but the memories of those who knew you. This is a real fear for those who enter the Amazon, and has been for centuries, as seen in the legends of the region, particularly one story that you should never be told under any circumstances when you are out in a tent in the middle of the forest at 3 a.m. According to legend, deep in the Amazon there lives a forest being called the Chullachaki, coming from the indigenous Quechua language, meaning uneven foot, as the Chullachaki is often depicted with either one foot turned backward or that of an animal. Able to shapeshift, the Chullachaki lures unsuspecting humans deeper into the forest by taking the form of a family member or an animal to hunt, where the unfortunate victim gets lost, perhaps being eventually found gravely ill or driven mad if lucky, though many simply are never found. While the Chullachaki may lure any jungle traveler off their path, the Chullachaki has a special relationship with hunters. Appease the Chullachaki and a hunter will have great success hunting in the forest. Kill too many animals and you will surely be led astray. This has altered the Chullachaki legend more recently into a protector of the forest in a time the Amazon rainforest is under unprecedented threats due to pressures by global capitalism. Chullachaki also do more than get humans lost and seem to have a green thumb, creating and tending gardens of a few particular plant species deep in the forest, called supai chakra in the native language, or because of suspicion of any native culture's traditions by Europeans, especially a generally malicious being like the Chullachaki, the English name for these Chullachaki-tended patches of forest is a devil's garden. A garden of a single plant species growing out in the biodiverse rainforest goes against much of tropical biology, where most plants are nowhere near another member of the same species, their neighbors being dozens of unrelated plants. However, the supai chakra are a real thing one can find out in the Amazon rainforest, and I want to try and find one today. Where I am in southeastern Peru, supai chakra are primarily made up of the plant Cordia nodosa, so all I have to do is go out into the forest and find several plants together, which is a lot harder than it seems. The Amazon is a vast place, with plant individuals usually growing by themselves, so even finding a single Cordia nodosa is going to be like looking for a needle in a haystack, let alone finding the one part of the forest where several grow in a supai chakra. While we search, let's discuss some of what has been observed about these parts of the forest by botanists, to maybe get an idea of what we are looking for. Supai chakra can be rather large, with well over 300 plants, and can exist for more than 800 years. At that size, for sure they should be reasonably easy to find. Okay, where is one? This is kinda difficult. I haven't even found a single Cordia nodosa, let alone a grove. Wait, is this the plant? Yes. Here we have Cordia nodosa, a plant in the Boraginaceae family. Note the big expansion just before the leaves. This is a telltale characteristic of this species. But this plant is alone, so I guess this plant can exist outside a supai chakra. Something weird must be going on if this plant can also just grow out in the forest. Okay, this is better. Here are a few individuals near each other, one even quite large, forming more of a tree than just an understory shrub. Perhaps we need to follow the legend of the Chullachaki and search deeper in the forest. It is here, deep in a primary old-growth rainforest, I finally found a supai chakra. But who or what created this grove of Cordia nodosa? The answer to the mystery that is the supai chakra is all in those expansions I noted a few minutes ago. In botanical terms, they are called domatia, hollow chambers with one important purpose: house ants. Cordia nodosa and the other plants that make up supai chakra across the Amazon are myrmechophiles, plants with a mutualistic symbiosis with ants. While I found many different small species of ants in association with Cordia nodosa, the one species important to this story is the lemon ant, Myrmelachista schumanni. These ants take up residence inside the domatia of the host plant and grow the colony. The expanding worker force then begins to go to neighboring plants, competing with their host for sunlight, and inject formic acid into the competitor's leaves, killing the unfortunate plant. This is how a supai chakra is formed, the ants destroying the competitors of their host plants, which soon begin to proliferate around the colony, allowing the colony to expand further, and so on. These ants are polygynous, which means that they have many queens, sometimes over 15,000 in a single supai chakra, meaning they can persist for centuries in one spot. The formation of these gardens is called niche construction, where a species alters the ecosystem for their own benefit and for their mutualistic partners. However, for the Cordia nodosa, the English name of Devil's Garden is more apt. As though they are given the ability to form these groves for centuries, they do pay for making this deal with the ants. The typical mixed forests of the Amazon, with all these different plants growing around each other in a chaotic mess, has the advantage of not being easy for insect herbivores, especially specialist herbivores, to get super common by not having food sources concentrated in certain areas, meaning these herbivores need to disperse across the landscape and expose themselves to predators, seeking out sometimes distant hosts for their larvae. Supai chakra are pockets of one species, meaning for a herbivore that likes the leaves of Cordia nodosa, this is an all-you-can-eat salad bar. While the lemon ants are fierce and can defend their host plants, the hordes of hungry caterpillars simply overrun them. I noticed that many of the Cordia nodosa plants I found had been hit hard by herbivores, in accordance with these findings. This is a fascinating piece of ecology, as the increased attention larger supai chakra have from herbivores counteracts the ants' expansion of the garden, keeping this mutualism from overrunning the Amazon. So, mystery solved. Ants were behind it all, which is on point for this channel's brand. Seems like I always go back to talking about ant ecology. However, I still feel it is important to remember the Chullachaki and how this being functions. Getting lost out here is very serious and potentially deadly. The patch of forest where I finally found a supai chakra was rough, feeling very much like the domain of the Chullachaki and a place one could easily get lost. Anyway, having found the most dangerous thing in the Amazon, getting lost in such a complex wilderness, I think it is time to head home. I'm back, and see, I'm all in one piece. Yes, I may have held some misconceptions about wildlife from the media I consume. I'm glad I could help you appreciate the amazing animals of the Amazon basin. Thank you for showing me that wildlife isn't out to get me. I think I'd like to try this nature thing out. Would you go on a hike with me? Yes, but let's first properly prepare. Now, even with the simplest hikes, it is important to properly prepare. There are some essential pieces of gear one should always have. First, water. While I usually don't calculate a specific amount, I would say it is smart to have at least 3 liters on you, more if it is hot. I have broken this rule and regretted it. Running out halfway through a hot day is not fun. I think my lips were chapped for like a week afterward. Having a little food is also a good idea, though you can go far longer without food than water. Next, a flashlight. Even if you are heading out early, you may get lost, you may end up taking longer than you thought, and then it is dark and you cannot see. I do mean a dedicated flashlight or headlamp, because using only your phone is not going to last you quite as long and is just categorically worse, though a phone does make a good backup. Navigation is pretty tricky, as few people are proficient at using maps and compasses. However, modern GPS really helps, though you should always know roughly what direction you came from. Something really important, especially in a forested ecosystem, is opping, which is how you communicate with people you cannot see. All you do is let out a really loud op, and everyone who can hear it should respond, so you can figure out where they are. Finally comes the essential thing to stay safe and avoid disappearing in the wilderness, which is planning ahead. Tell other people where you are going and when you should be back. If you miss that time, they can let others or the authorities know, and they can go look for you. The key, though, is the second that you realize you are lost, stop and stay put. Continuing to move means that you could end up further away from the main trail and thus harder to locate. Okay, remember that if you get lost, stop and settle down. You ready? Yes, I'm ready to go on an adventure.
My father and I got caught in a whirlpool and nearly drowned. And the insects, bees, horseflies, ants, some termites ate my underwear.